Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Rise and Grind in the Morning. I'm 72 the Architect, and today we're going to talk about what do you deliver on. And this is a live produced on YouTube as well as Clubhouse today. One of the few times that I actually will record on Clubhouse. So welcome on in, and we're going to talk about, how do you get it together? What do you deliver on? What are you known for? All that good stuff. Stay tuned in just a moment here. Well, welcome back to another edition of Rise and Grind in the Morning. Usually I produce for Wisdom and YouTube, and today I'm going to produce YouTube and Clubhouse, which is another app, social audio app where you can meet people, have great discussions, discover ideas, and sometimes along the way make some friends and colleagues. So yeah, we're gonna get into it today. So how did I come up with today? Well, originally I was supposed to produce it yesterday. That was the biggest thing. And what I will definitely say is that when I wanted to make the show, I had some technical difficulties, and that's okay. But it really gave me more inspiration to just do it the following morning. Like, hey, how could I do this a little better? It's 6 a.m. It's dark out. It started to get cold here in Stockton, California. I think it's probably in the 50s, maybe 40s. I'm not really sure. However, what do you deliver on? That's a lot of people is on their minds. Are you honorable? Are you honest? Are you say what you do? Do you do what you say? These are all great things to be aware of. And I really started thinking about how could I deliver better? How could I really put my word as a stamp of like, hey, it's respect. It's just what it is. It's a good name, for myself. And when I talk to people, when I deal with people, when I work with them, even in my own relationship, my partner needs to believe in what I deliver on. And there have been times where my life has not literally been on track. I've lived sometimes parts of my life where there were dishonesties in discovering really who I was or who I am today and how I deliver on those things. So I've been hearing lots of people discuss that, let's just say they have a little bit more notoriety than I do. They run their organizations well and so on and so forth, but that doesn't take me out. And when I really think about what I deliver on, it's like, hey, where's your proof? Now, in business, a lot of times when you're going for a job, they want to know, well, what kind of qualifications do you have? Do you have a degree? Do you have job references? Do you have a personal reference of people that we could talk to and vouch for who you are? And yes, I think that's very important, to say the least. But what I really find even more interesting is the process along the way. And the process along the way really says a lot about, who you are and what you do and why you do it. And I can't deny that I can't say that I've met a lot of frauds because I have. And have I worked with frauds? Yes. Have I been, but have I ever committed a crime in fraud? No, I have not. So when I really started trying to shape up my life, like in the now, when I really started focusing on what matters to me most, my word had to stand. That's right. When I deliver something, my word has to stand. And what I say and what I believe, what I do all work together for me. So, what helps me in those things are a couple of things. Number one, don't talk about something that you don't know about. That's number one. I learned that from Gary Vaynerchuk on one of his short reels, and I couldn't agree more. And it just kind of summed up what I had felt inside. People talk about authenticity. They talk about levels of understanding, and just being a doer. But the first part says, hey, I don't need to talk about what I don't know about. However, I can be curious. I can create open discussions for maybe people that are experienced. I can create pathways where people can be a part of what I do, who I am, so on and so forth. So there's nothing wrong with that. And when we look at what we deliver, it starts with our word. People don't know who you are until you start saying something, unless you're just out there and you're videotaping what you do on a regular basis where people are watching. And sometimes that's good too. But to the average person who doesn't know you, how do you introduce yourself? That's number two. So before you introduce yourself, just don't talk about things you don't understand. But if you have a curiosity about something you don't understand or don't know how to do, that's very important as well, because when I look at those things, and when people look at me, I'm known right now when I go into Clubhouse, as an example, people say about things about me. I'm a no nonsense, in your face, and that can be good and that can be bad. However, whenever I enter into a room, whether it be a social atmosphere physically or even a social atmosphere on an audio app like Clubhouse or any of the others that I'm part of, like Fireside and so on, I want to make sure that what I say is something either I've done, or I'm in the works of working on. So there's nothing wrong with that. And you don't have to be the expert in every single scenario. You don't have to be the expert in every single situation. You don't have to respond to every single thing that's proposed to you or that you overhear. So that's another key, is a level of what you respond to. Um, I have seen people um, really adamant about checking and verifying somebody's background or what they do, or they've come across so many frauds. And even in personal conversations, I've talked to other attorneys that I work with, and sometimes judges, and some of these intimate conversations, when we talk about our work, how we do, what we are evaluating, what makes a difference. A lot of times, when I'm discovering from these well-established people in these professions, I understand they're delivering on the experience alone, nothing more, nothing less. Now they have jokes and they have canter where they're, you know, talking about some leisure things, and that's fine. But even in leisure, be monitor of the next big part, your emotions. Your emotions have a lot to do, and your mood have a lot to do on your presentation of who you are and what you deliver on. So if you're seen as a calm individual, if you're seen as someone who makes a difference in your daily life, your daily walk, people can get behind that. And a lot of us don't want to be someone that they can't resonate with. So, what do you deliver on is, the first part is your words, and all those things that I described, from talk about what you know about and do what you say, and don't talk about what you don't know about. A lot of times, hey, your word is your bond. So the next part is, the vanity of you, bring your best experience, your best self to wherever you go. Now, this morning, yeah, I'm in a sweatshirt. My hair is a little out of place, but I'm experimenting with some hairstyles, kind of doing, I guess, a little bit of the faux hawk, but that's all right. I'm cool with that, because I'm curious about, hey, I'm 50 years old. I look younger than I actually am, and part of looking younger has an appeal to it. Am I chasing youth? No, but can I be respectable in my appearance? And some people might say age appropriate, right? So, on the appearance factor of what you deliver is, do you have a comfortable experience in your fashion and in your vanity? Do you dress like a slob when you go to a meeting? No, I don't. I wear a suit and tie. So, what about my shoes? Yeah, my shoes are polished. My pants are pressed. That's important to me. That's a part of a token of my reputation. So when you're delivering on something, on anything, wear the appropriate fashion. Even if it's a casual outing, make sure that you're not having a wrinkly shirt, or you have some shorts that look, that are not jacked up and have like a day old donut stain on them or something. So I think that's very important on what you deliver on, what you make a difference on. And I strongly believe it's, your word should be the first thing, but a lot of times people look at your appearance as the first thing. So I'm not making this necessarily in order, but what I say is what I do, and I do what I say. And then when I show up, the boxes to the visual optics, they fall in line. Okay, this guy says what he does, but I can start to agreeing and making the check marks and saying, wow, this guy's making a difference. And what by what he appears. Now the follow-up, what about the actions? So you look good, you're talking good, you're making a difference in things, but what about what follows up with that? So you're saying you're looking good, now it's time to do. And understand. So whenever I walk into a discussion, and it doesn't matter where it is, I try to really make sure that I listen very carefully, right? So when I look at, what I deliver on, what I want to say, when I want to say something, when I want to make a difference in life, it all matters on the optics that I actually doing what I'm saying, what I'm doing. And that's very, very key. I don't care what you have to represent, that feeling, that motion, that livelihood, from when you go even handshake somebody's hand or you're actually making a difference, not just an impression like, hey, I came here to address and listen to your problems. I came here to see if I can be of aid. My profession leads me to exactly where I am, what I do, why I do it. And that's it. I can't speak on things that I don't know, so I've got to do. So what do I do? Right? What is it that I'm really known for in action? So the next big thing that people say about me that I've heard is the way that I listen. I'm not listening to parts of your discussion. I'm actually listening to um, the action points that can I accommodate? Can I add some value to your situation? And is there an opportunity to make money and make a business? Because every encounter has some level of business. I don't care where you go, even if it's a good friend, what you deliver on in business, starts with the socials, like I said, the talk, the vanity, the look, and when we look at these things and we say, okay, well, I look the part, I dress the part, I talk the part, and now I'm in the part, the action is what people are reading off of you. Are you calm? Are you collective? And when I look at those particular things, it matters in the long run. It really, really matters what I'm going to stand on, deliver on. Yes, I'm calm, I'm listening to you. And the next big part when you're in action, especially in the discovery phase of whoever you're dealing with for the day, the moment, the hour, whatever it is, how you ask questions is very important. So this is an action piece. When you're asking questions, make sure that they're going to be catered to the person so that they're expressing themselves on a meet level. So, hey, I'm meeting where you're at, and hopefully you're going to meet me where I'm at. So being sincerely interested in what they have to provide, right? So there's no debate about that. So asking questions, not just to compartmentalize, but listening to the person you're dealing with or the people or the group when they're speaking to you, the best way you can deliver is, hey, I'm listening. There's a few things. And usually with me, believe it or not, I'll have a small little notepad with me. And I love these little things because wherever I go, or even I still have the kind of the planner, um, old school, or I have I sometime lately I've been bringing my iPad and I've been using an app. It's like a note app, and I forget what it's called right now. Pardon me. But when I take this, it allows me to take quick notes in questions that I'll make bullet points. Well, Jack said this, and he's explaining about shipping, and his main business is trucking, and he has a fleet of trucks that delivers from Visalia, California to Stockton, California, or Sacramento. And his biggest problem is, fuel costs, and where can we negotiate and look at, things like that. So when you're looking at how people are engaged with you, you're looking at the level of questions you can supply to them, that they're just filling in the blanks. It's not like you're trying to be investigative and like, oh, are you for real? Are you saying, are you really what you say you are? No, just let them fill in the blanks of what they have, and you obviously can see that. And that's the beginning signs of when someone is noticing you're listening to them. So you're asking, you're looking at them, and some people can handle looking straight at you, some people can't. But when I look at the situation, make sure that I have pleasantries on my face. That means not a scowl like, are you really, that in depth? Are you really, um, that kind of person? And so whenever I'm dealing with somebody else, and what I can deliver, especially in my profession and what I do for work, is how I'm going to prepare my physical presence through the way that I talk, the way that I ask my questions, and the tone of my voice. Because the way that you tone your voice and pitch your voice to someone else, you may or may not be comfortable to talk to. Like, I've had that said to me, "Hey, you're very unapproachable at times." And I don't have necessarily a problem with that. But however, I've learned to listen to the inputs and take it in consideration, and look at the situation and say, "You know what? How can I soften my voice up, or how can I look at what's gonna matter to me, to them? How am I gonna be relatable?" Sometimes I crack a little jokes like, "Hey, along the way, I stepped in some dog poo," whatever, but hey, I'm here. I'm awake. I'm relevant, or hey, my little one threw up on me today, and I end up smelling like spilled milk. It just, I mean, they're lame examples, but what I really what I really look at is you're breaking in the ice. In those beginning moments, the engagement with somebody else is really determined on their comfortability, and your approach. So if your voice is very argumentative, or it's just too hardcore, then guess what? You're more than likely, you're going to be dismissed probably within the first 5 minutes. And those people are already thinking, how can I check out of this situation unless I absolutely have to? So that is something that I definitely learned along in business and in personal relationships. Be interested to be interesting. I've heard that somewhere. I don't know where exactly. So when I look at those things, I make sure that it's like, hey, my mood, my attitude has got to be on point today. Minute I walk out that door, I put on the suit, I put on the shiny shoes, the tie's on right, the coat's on right. My attitude's got to be check. My mentality's got to be in check. And sometimes there are some situations where you really are disturbed, you're triggered, you're bothered. But ask yourself, am I bothered by the inconvenience of what triggered me, or is it something that I can fix now? And if I can't fix now, can I take patience so that I can get into a comfortable flow of myself? So that's also body language. Body language is huge on what we can deliver. So there are a few things that I've come along the way. And I feel that when you want to deliver something better, what you deliver on is your mental training. That's right, your mental training. Do you understand your emotional content? You understand your mood, and what it entails. And like there's mental trainings that I go throughout every single day. Like, for example, I read, and there are certain books that I rehearse, um that I have really gone over and over and over on. And that means, um, like, for example, I was reading a book that I love. I've read this a few times, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, a classic book. And there was on page five, a paragraph or two that really caught my attention. And he was kind of talking about his behavior, about, way you should conduct yourself. And um, he says, John Wanamaker, founder of the stores that bear his name, confessed, I learned 30 years ago that it is foolish to scold. I have enough trouble overcoming my own limitations out fretting over the fact that God has not seen fit to distribute evenly the gift of intelligence. So, what does that mean? It means that everyone has a different level of understanding, everyone has a different level of intelligence, but doesn't mean you need to show off yours all the time. Um, like sometimes it's been expressed to me like, hey, you're an Einstein, you're a know it all. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me check right now. Is there something I'm saying that you feel really uncomfortable with? Check the conversation like, hey, let's bring it back. Is what I'm saying something you don't agree with? That's the first level of coherence. That's the big deliverable. When you're delivering on anything, your word or your appearance or your attendance, whether it be in school, work, or even a relationship or a date. You know, I I've heard a lot of my colleagues and friends talk about dating, like, why aren't there really good men out there? Or why aren't there really good women? Well, my question is, where are they disconnecting? What is their modus operandi or apparatus? How do they understand of what they're saying of their discontent? How can I help them? Or can I help them? Doesn't mean I don't want to dive in deep in their psyche, but it's like, hey, maybe the first thing I could tell you, like one of them, I told him, I said, you always have a scowl on your face. If you look like, excuse my language, but if you look like you have a bitch face, like you're ready to choose someone out all the time, and yet you're dressed to impress, are you doing yourself a disservice? Yes, you are. You're doing yourself a big disservice. Are you treating your date, like I would ask those people, are you treating your date as an opportunity to have a good time? Right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's very simple. So when I look at, when people tell me and they're like, well, how do you know so much? And I'm like, look, I'm in a wonderful relationship. It's not perfect. However, it works. And I am always trying to show up and make myself an asset to my partner and especially to my children. So maybe some things that I've done that were successful might help you. And by looking on your face, the look on your face that might actually help you when you look at what's on your face, maybe that's the first deliverable thing that they're going to be like, okay, I'm comfortable. If you're smiling, guess what, ladies? If you're smiling to the guy, gives him a little pep in his step, like, okay, she's cool. But if you have that scowl, same goes for the guys. If you can't smile, guys, and maybe you're afraid of your teeth, or maybe you're just not happy with your smile, it's just so robotic that you don't smile, train yourself to smile every day. Look in the mirror, spend, I don't know, 5 minutes smiling, like, hey, I'm good. These things overdone over time, practice, 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 when it counts and it shows up, it delivers that guess what? I can work with this person and I can make the next steps going forward. Right. So when I'm looking at what is taking place, when it's taking place, and whom it's taking place, I bring in my best self. Like I told you, like, hey, the vanities, it's got to look on point. Now, you may not be probably the most fashionable person. However, you can get advice out there. You can find things that do not body shame, that bring on body shaming, but bring in body positivity. No, not everyone's skinny, not everyone's absolutely fat, and you shouldn't be shamed on that. But you can wear things and be curious for people who work in fashion to do that. And guess what? I ask questions when I go to my tailor. I ask him, hey, how can I wear a pair of jeans a little better? What style of shirt now really fit with this fashion? What colors should I look at, for a casual outing at night? What are key areas that will focus on my skin type or the shape, my head style? I ask all these scientific like questions because you know what? The more questions I provide, the more details I get in return. I add it into my modus operandi or apparatus. And you know what? And I start producing outcomes. And that fashion, it boosts your energy. Like you feel confident, like me in a brand new suit and a nice pair of shoes. You know, I make sure that I also increase the level of my posture. It all seems crazy, but it's true. So when we, whether and then here's the next part. This is the psychological part. Expect people to not be totally honest with you. Expect the level of adrenaline to be in everyone's conversation, even the most comfortable people. Expect that they're not going to be totally honest with you. So don't create too many expectations out of that. Just like always take things in considerations. If someone's trying to persuade you or move you, it's like, all right, I'm interested, but we'll see how it goes. There's nothing wrong. Confirmation, unless you absolutely agree or believe, is something that you can deliver on. If you want, and there are a few things that I'm cautionary, like when someone says, "Trust me," that automatically ticks off my or triggers my radar, and it's like, "Okay, have you not been honest thus far?" Seems like an obvious statement, right? However, in a world where everyone's trying to shoot their shot, prove their brand, you know, pitch their pitch. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, now we're back. Had the alarm going off and I didn't even know it. Anyhow, so when I look at, when I'm delivering what I'm delivering on, I understand that it is in my purpose and understanding of myself. And like I said, I'm not going to talk about anything I don't know, but I can be curious and ask questions. And then it's just like, hey, I've got my appearance going for you, and here's what I'm doing. Um, a lot of people lead with their accolades and their awards. Hey, I've made $10 million plus. I've got a big following my social media. That's the common thing that I've dealt with on the Clubhouse. This is what I represent. I have 30,000 people following me, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, you know, I don't know all those people, but I'm interested. And the ones that I tend to run or align myself with are the people that are curious about doing. They're more about doing than just analyzing what is to be done. So I think that's very, very important in our daily living. Look at the level of completion is also your reputation. That's right. When I'm looking at reputation alone, it's like the consistency of my actions and their actions. Can I verify? Do I need to verify? I think it's a very, very important thing because when people talk about, are you what you represent, so on and so forth, I'm literally starting to say, okay, well, give me some time to evaluate the topic at hand. And I notice the people that get angry and impatient with discussions with me, when I notice people that are not really on the level, it's because they have a feeling inside themselves, not to me. When people are talking to me, whether it's a deal or a friendship, like, are we going to have a good time? It's that simple. I crack jokes. I'm a smart ass sometimes. And yeah, sarcasm comes into play, but I also understand, like, is everybody comfortable? Some people have more to prove just by saying than actually doing. And should they be discounted? No, not necessarily. They shouldn't. But when I look at how to consider everyone, it's like, hey, yeah, I want to greet you with hospitality. I want to treat you that way. You know what? I'm gonna leave you that way, and I'm gonna give you matter of fact, there was somebody that I deal with, a day or so ago, and he was uncomfortable. He was constantly over talking. Here's another talking point. He was constantly over talking people. Every time someone would make a point, he would chime up and say something contradictory. And then I don't wanna say I just got pissed, but I was like, "You know what? Let me use a tactic on him that he's using on other people." And I even typed into some of the people I was talking to. I said, "Watch this. This person's gonna lose their cool in a matter of a few moments," and everyone agreed they don't like the way that the guy was performing. They didn't like, and no one was willing just to say, "Hey, you know what? You constantly interrupt me, and I don't like that." Why is it so hard for people to say, "I'm uncomfortable in what you're doing"? There's nothing wrong with that. is just simply saying it, "Hey, I just am really not comfortable with what you're saying right now. So if you could pause or my big thing now, a new thing I'm testing out is, hey, if you don't mind, could you suspend your thoughts just for a moment? I know you got something important to say, but I'm going to land my plane or I'm going to connect the dots, whatever, however you want to pitch it. I'm going to do this and here's why. And you know what? I would love to hear your input afterwards. that's a big, that's a big thing. You're letting people know your boundaries. And if they wish to continue to interrupt, you know what? I feel that we're reaching an impasse. No offense, but I'm going to exit this conversation. I don't think that we're listening to each other, and I'm just going to exit and have a nice day. And a lot of times it not only saves me from making a worse mistake, but just letting the person know I'm disagreeing you where we're not listening. We're not engaged. When you're too busy trying to be right, you're wrong, in my opinion. And if you have to try so hard to be right and respected, you're wrong. So it's better to reel back your emotional self, reel back your character. Hey, you know what? It was interesting talking to you, but I've got to move forward. Have a nice day. These are things that people want to know. And there's some other suggestive things that I don't want to use anymore in my conversation. The should have. I don't like to use should. I don't. When I talk to people and I have some advice to say, I don't automatically say it. What I'll do is, hey, I've got something for you to consider. Or would you mind, me letting you just, hey, can I add an addition to what you're saying? Or a perspective? Give somebody the command and saying, hey, I'm going to add something to what you're already stating in value, because that's a big deal in the long run. So when we're looking at what matters, what we deliver on, it's the respect you're giving in that conversation, your demeanor and learning manners. A lot of many people I've come across, they don't have manners, no disrespect, no problem. But if they can't respect me and I can't respect them, then what do we have? We have a waste of time and energy. And there are plenty of people that will try to waste your time. They will. They will try to waste your time. So no matter what it is, be always coherent that, you know what? It's okay to exit out of a conversation. Hey, thanks for the time. I appreciate it. I spent 30 minutes listening to you. If there's some points that I agree or disagree, hey, let me know and we'll talk another time. Not just later, but talk another time. Or maybe we need to book another meeting and it needs to take a little longer than what's at hand. Sometimes it's like, thanks for your time. And I'm exiting. I have no interest in coming back. You don't have to say that, but it's like, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Is a simple gesture of saying, I'm done. And they can walk away with their dignity in place. That's the other thing is you got to be able to give people a chance and recovering their dignity. So like the guy that I was engaged with in let's just say in a clubhouse atmosphere, I asked him, I said, hey, you know what? Let me apologize. I attacked you or I confronted you about something. And obviously the reactions that followed said this, well, you know what? If we both can let it go, are we square? And what does that mean? When I say, are we square, that means, are we on the level, right? On a brick, on a square, it's flat. That's it. I'm not no better. You're not no better. Are we square? And the reaction out of the guy was, I was like, okay, all right. Now I understand how to treat you. I'm not going to treat you. I'm not going to entertain your company and I'm not going to be even considering you, to be in my space. And that's okay. There are a lot of people who are not allowed in my space and vice versa. I'm not allowed in theirs. Understand that. So hopefully this has really made a difference for your day. And if you like this podcast, if you enjoyed this talk, feel free to leave me a comment. You can send me a DM, um, even make a comment on the YouTube, which you can find Rise and Grind with 72 The Architect. What do you deliver on? And you can check out my last episode. that I'll attach the video on the end card. So make sure that you look at my playlist or look at my lives, take your pick. The ones I really, really enjoyed. Recently, my 50th birthday was celebrated on October 7th, and what my life experience has shown me to that point. So, anyhow, I think that's all the time that I'm going to spend. Thank you so much for all those who are going to listen in the replays, whether it be on Clubhouse or also here. You can find me on Clubhouse with 72 the Architect, and it's pretty easy. Anyhow, I hope you all have a great day and enjoy, and we'll see y'all next time. Let's see, where is it?